Everybody, and welcome to this webinar on this beautiful sunny Wednesday morning in the summer. This session is being recorded and will appear on our YouTube channel later on today, so thank you very much indeed for joining us today. As usual, we have to read out our usual disclaimer. So the following presentation is produced for general guidance only, and professional advice should always be sought before any transaction is undertaken. Individual circumstances can vary, and therefore no responsibility can be accepted by Harts Limited or any of their affiliates for any action taken or any decision made to refrain from action by attendees of this presentation. Plenty of other Harts online resources. Follow us on LinkedIn. It would be great if you can get the number of followers up. That'd be brilliant. We're also on YouTube, where you can see this video and all the other videos that we've recorded over the last 4 years or so. Follow us on X as well, and we're also on Spotify, where we have a number of interviews with business leaders. The latest one being with Stephen Clegg of Top Speed Couriers, and he's showing and explaining to us and telling us how he's built a business up from one man with a van to 160 vehicles, of which 60 are now going to be electric. So that's an interesting one to listen to. Plenty of others on there as well, so please feel free and join us on that as well. Okay, upcoming events. We've just had our last business club event, which was last week, where we have about 50 or 60 people joining us for lunch, and they're normally at Holland Hall. And it's joint with the North Cheshire Chamber of Commerce along with Orbit Developments. Great networking, great food, well worth coming to the event. If you want to book on the next one, go to our events page at hartslimited.com and book yourself on. That's going to be on the 18th of September. This is going to be the last webinar until after the summer, and hopefully you'll be able to join us all then. We have an interesting number of topics that we're looking to put on for the rest of the year. If you hadn't noticed already, we do have a general election coming up next week, and that is probably going to have an influence on how your thinking is going. Are there going to be more tax rises coming? Are the people telling us the full explanation of any tax positions? It's well worth considering that. If you're planning going forward, we're happy to have a chat with you as well on that. Research and development tax claims. We mentioned this last time. These are increasingly getting looked at as a matter of course and getting knocked back as a matter of course. If you want to have a review of any of your tax research and development tax claims, then feel free to get in touch. It's benefit in kind reporting season, so if you had company health scheme, company car, any other expenses paid for by the company, now's the time you have to let HMRC know and pay any tax that's any due on it, any class 1A national insurance and so on. And also, we're also in self-assessment time, whereby we've passed 5th of April, so therefore you can now submit your self-assessment return for 23-24. Okay, the deadline is until January 25, but the sooner you get it in, if you got a refund, the sooner you'll get that refund. So well worth getting that in. And finally, I've put on the bottom here, community amateur sports clubs. I know I'm involved with one myself. If anybody else is involved in any community amateur sports clubs, HMRC have written to them all, and they are reviewing the tax status of these sports clubs. So if you're unsure of the position, again, just get in touch and let us know. Because community amateur sports clubs have certain benefits, and tax position is beneficial in a lot of cases. But if you're not complying with the rules, then you will lose that tax status. So just bear that in mind if you know of anybody who's involved in that. Okay, moving on to today's topic is how to create your business strategy. Now, I want this to be a lot more interactive. So if you've got a microphone, please shout out. If you want to put your stuff into the chat box, put an answer to a question in the chat box, please feel free to do so, because we're going to ask some pertinent questions on this. But what we're briefly going to cover is what is a strategy opposed to a plan? Why do you actually need a strategy? what can happen if you don't have one, and what you need to do next. So we're going to cover all those topics. So what is a strategy? Well, we're going to use a footballing analogy. Well, we are in the middle of the Euros. Anybody watch the football last night? Anyone let's put some reaction in the chat box. Do you think England are going to win it, or what was your feeling about it? It certainly seems a little bit dull to me, but I'm no expert. But you know, we are in the middle of it. We've finished top of the group, but everyone's we've got right. So we've had a good snooze. Yeah, we topped the group, so let's keep the faith. Yeah, why not? Tournament football, as they all keep saying. Anyway, we're going to use this football analogy anyway. So what is the difference between a strategy and a plan? Well, a strategy is an overarching method of how you're going to run your business in the future. The plan, the business plan, is how you actually carry that out, and use that as the two things. So again, if we look at the England scenario, if England say, right, we're going to score loads of goals by taking loads of corners, that's going to be our strategy. Let's try and win a lot of corners because we're going to score goals from them. The plan will be, well, we've got loads of corners. How are we actually going to take them? Are we going to go short? Are we going to go long? Or are we going to pat the penalty box, etc., etc.? But the overall strategy is, let's try and win the game by scoring goals from corners. The actual plan, business plan equivalent, will be to have various methods of actually doing that. And as the competition catch up, and as they realize what you're actually trying to do, then your plan will change. And that's much the same as it is in business as well. As you're going forward, things change, the market changes, competition changes, and you'll develop your actual plan to meet what your actual personal and business objectives are. So the overarching thing is a strategy to say, well, this is how we're going to do it. This is what we are trying to achieve. Be realistic about it. So have a realistic strategy. Don't try and do something which you can't possibly achieve. It's, for instance, like being the best company in the world. That effectively is going to be a bad strategy because you're never actually going to be able to achieve it. It's not measurable. It's kind of a vision, but not really measurable, and so on. So be realistic about what you're trying to achieve. So why have a strategy, and why is this so important? Well, it gives you what you want, both from a personal and a business point of view. We'll come on to that a little bit later. It will give you great focus as well. And I've highlighted two words in this list: focus and profit. We've had a number of people, I've worked with a number of businesses over the last few years, and they've all said it gives them that greater focus, which leads to more profit. As part of the process, you've got targets and actions which you actually need to take place. You've got a blueprint for the future. You know where you're going, so you're not kind of wishy-washy. It's not kind of vague. You know exactly what you're trying to do and how you're trying to achieve it. You're also accountable as well. So you've got this accountability not just to yourself, but to other members of your team. So for instance, if you've got this plan and it's no longer in your head, it's written down, it's a document for the future, you can be held accountable to it. It's also one for survival. If business is bad, you can say, right, well, we need to have a plan to go forward. We need to have a strategy overall to go forward. It will give you growth, profit, and also give you that satisfaction and achievement. If you've actually reached what you've tried to achieve by using this strategy, it will give you great satisfaction and achievement. If you don't have one, and believe me, many businesses don't have an overall strategy, well, you can have no direction. You can go off in 101 different ways. You might get there in the end, but it'll take you much longer, it'll cost you more, and it'll give you more heartache. So what I would make sure you do is make sure that you have some sort of plan. It gives you that direction. You might not have any clear leadership. There might only be short-term thinking. There may only be no staff motivation and low morale because nobody in the team knows what's actually going on. You need to communicate with people to make sure that they understand what's actually happening. And you could also miss out on opportunities. There may be other stuff which you're so heavily involved in within the business that you actually miss other things which are going on around you. So it's well worth having this, well worth having a strategy going forward for the future. But again, this is one of the things that might happen when you go wrong. And also you can be complacent. Business is going very, very well. You think, great, it's always going to happen like this. And suddenly something happens which affects your business. And you become complacent, you're not sure what to do and which way to turn. So again, those are all things that go wrong, but we're going to be positive and none of that's going to happen. We're going to create your strategy going forward. On the screen are all the various things that we would look at during a strategy session with one of our clients or non-clients, because we do this for non-clients as well. So we'd look at your personal and business objectives. We'd look at your pricing. We'd look at your products and services that you're offering. We'll look at your sales and your marketing, your management, staff and teams. And then we'll also look at financial modeling as well. And we're going to touch on a few of these things over the next few minutes, just to give you a taster of what this session is all about. So typically, when we're preparing a strategy, we're going to look at, say, where are we now? Where do you want to be in, say, 5 years' time? And then we're going to plan a route of how to get there. And you think, well, it sounds a big thing here. How am I going to get from A to B? Well, if you want to get to B in 5 years' time, then we need to go to this step in stage year 4, this step in year 3, this step in year 2. So this is what we've got to do over the next 12 months. And you literally break it down into bite-sized pieces. And that's going to be our plan of how we actually reach where we're trying to get to over the next 5 years. So let's look at all the areas of the business, including your personal objectives, because this is very much a personal plan. What do you want out of this business? We're going to look at your business objectives. We're going to look at your information systems, your marketing. Why do people buy from you? Have a look at your team. How do you expand? We're going to assess your industry, your competitors, market trends, and then we're also going to follow up. And these are all the areas that we look at during the day. You can see there that financial stuff isn't really on there because it falls out at the end based on what you're trying to achieve and how you're trying to achieve it. So the financial bit, if you can put all the objectives together, hopefully we'll end up where you want to try and be. So this is where we start getting a little bit interactive. So let's look at some initial personal questions. So what is the most important thing to you about being in business? If you want to unmute yourself, feel free to do so. Or can you put something in the chat box? Give you 30 seconds, just put something in there about what is important to you about being in business. Or you can unmute yourself. Let's have some answers, please. We've got giving a great service to clients. Okay. Doing a good job for clients and customers. Yeah. Anybody else want to put something in? Don't be shy. So we've had, over the years, we've had, make money, of course. Over the years, we've had all sorts of answers to this question. It can be financial independence. It could be making the best for my family. We've got making a difference there. That's come in as well. But there can be 101 different reasons why you're actually in business and what's important to you about being in business. There is no right or wrong answer. It's down to what you want. And this is why we're trying to achieve this strategy. It's all down to what you want. So, next question. How do you generally feel on a Sunday evening? Are you really looking forward to work? Are you okay? Or do you wish the weekend was longer? Let's put some answers in the chat box. Depends if England are playing. Yes, you can, Joe. You can really, you can catch up with the slides later. Those will be on YouTube channel later on today. Sorry, you have to leave us. Again, if we get answers to these questions, Andy looks forward to the start of the week, which is great, which means he enjoys what he's doing, which means he's looking forward to work. He's happy in his role. But if we've got someone who says, no, they wish the weekend was longer, I really don't like looking forward to work, then are you in the right role? Are you doing the work that you want to be doing? Is there other stuff you feel you could be doing better than you're actually doing now? And that starts a whole conversation about what you want to do and where you want to be. And in terms of your workload, not your role, would you like to work hard, like less hard, the same, or harder? Answer that one. We've had a question. Why is the personal objective needed in determining the business strategy? What we're trying to achieve here is, what do you want personally? It's your business. What are you trying to achieve from a personal point of view? We then go along and have a look at your business objectives, because the whole point of what we're trying to do is, you're going to create business wealth. We need to transfer that business wealth over to you personally at some point. So personally, you've got to decide, why am I doing this? What's the point of me doing this? Am I doing this because it's a job and I have to do it? Am I doing it because I enjoy it? Am I doing it because it makes a difference? Why carry on working if you're not enjoying the sort of work that you do? Are you working too hard? I want to work less hard, or I want to work 4 days a week. Therefore, why don't we plan to work 4 days a week? Because I want to spend more time maybe with my family. So there can be a number of reasons why personally what you want out of life affects the way you run your business. So I hope, Ben, that answers your question. And we asked the question as well, in terms of your workload, not your role, would you like to work less hard, the same, or harder? Again, there's no right or wrong answers here. So we've had some people say, I want to work harder. I feel I'm underutilized. I feel I'm not doing the work that I really should be doing. And therefore I need to work harder on those areas. Other people say, I'm already working 6 days a week. I'm missing my family. I want to work less hard. And it's a question then of developing a strategy that will fit in with what you are trying to achieve. So some more questions. Do you believe your business is currently making enough profit? It might be yes, it might be no. These are all starters of some of the business objectives. If you're feeling you're making enough profit, great, it's enough profit now, but is it enough profit for the future? Have a think about this one. If you were absent for 3 months, would your business plunge, survive, continue unabated, or flourish? Now then, if we have some answers on the plunge or survive side, then it basically means, is the business too reliant on yourself? If you were taken out of the equation, would everything go to pot? Ideally, you want to be in the flourish area or the continue unabated area, which means you've got a great senior management team in place, or a great team in place that can carry on without you being there. If you haven't, what do we need to try and achieve to get rid of that problem? If you were absent, you were ill for 3 months, or you get knocked down by a bus, or whatever it is. And certainly during COVID, we saw this, where people were out of action for some time. Can the business carry on without you? And then we talk about what the biggest challenges you face right now. And we try and address some of those challenges. It's basically creative thinking. And I always carry around my magic wand, because my magic wand basically says, with everything, you hold this in your hand, and with this magic wand, you can do anything you like. And if we can do anything we like, then all we've got to do is get over the problems. So once we've done a lot of these questions, we've teased out what you're trying to achieve, and these are sort of stuff you start to think about. We create your strategic objectives. You might have targeted profits of, well, if you're doing, I know, 50,000 now, in 5 years' time, you want to be doing 500,000. How are we going to get from 50 to 500,000? That could be a target of what we're trying to achieve. You might say, I want to work less hard in doing so. I need to achieve sales of X so I can achieve profits of Y or X. There might be significant debt within your business, and one of your objectives will be to reduce that debt. A lot of people took out COVID loans, recovery loans, Sybil's loans, and so on. It might be that over the period now, you want to try and reduce that debt. So that will be your strategic objectives. Rather than keeping a load of cash for yourself, let's get the debt out of the way first. It might be there's less risk within the business. It might be that you want an exit plan. You might want to get out within the 5-year period. So make that a strategic objectives, and then we can work towards that. Do a sales and marketing plan. I'm amazed at the number of businesses that do not have a sales and marketing plan, or they've got a vague idea in their head. I've done this session with a number of businesses, and even with a marketing business, and they didn't have a sales and marketing plan. So if you haven't got one, don't worry, you're not alone. Most businesses don't have one. Most small and medium-sized businesses don't have one, certainly. It might be that you want to improve the business culture. Have you got a team that are trying to work, will work to this off the same hymn sheet as yourself and achieve what you're trying to achieve? Again, it might be that you've not got the right people in place or the right people in the wrong positions, whatever. Improving the business culture could well be one as well. And then we're going to have a look at your existing products and services and say, well, do any of those have a shelf life? Is there anything new that we can be doing? What turnover can you achieve from this? Is it growing? Is it reducing? Is it static? What opportunities are there for new products and services? So you think, right, well, I'm doing this, but actually, have you thought about diversifying out slightly and doing something which might be an associated product with what you're doing? And you could have a look at that. What's the time and cost of investment of being able to sell that new product or that new service? And what's the effect of profitability on that? We also look at, why do customers buy from you? This is very interesting because a number of times we've done this, people say it's quality, it's service, it's their expertise, it can be their location, they're easy to deal with, they're the go-to people for it. And one thing that comes very low down in the list is price. A number of businesses that say, well, people don't buy from us on price. And I say, well, why don't you put your prices up? Because it's an opportunity to put your prices up. If they're coming to you for all those other reasons, put your prices up. That's an instant hit to your bottom line. Do you know why your customers buy from you? Do you ever do a survey? I know everyone gets inundated with surveys, but it can just be a 2 or 3 question one. Or you ask for a testimonial for something that you've done, and understand why people actually buy from you. If not, you need to know why they do. Get rid of those pitter clients and customers who don't know what pitter is, pain in the arse. Clients or customers, get rid of them. They're creating more hassle than they're worth. They drag you down. Why deal with them if you don't have to deal with them? And you'll probably make more profit because they can say, well, I'm spending twice as much time as I would with any other customer or clients on this, and we're not making as much money. Get rid of them. I can have 2 more clients in the place, and far more pleasurable to deal with. So have a look at that as well. So we touched on marketing. Do you have a marketing plan? Have you reviewed your marketing materials recently? Do your marketing materials actually say what you're trying to achieve or what your business is all about? Do they say what you want them to say? How much social media marketing are you doing? How do you actually target new customers? All these sorts of questions we can ask, we can tease out of you and say, right, well, let's put together some sort of marketing plan. We're no experts in marketing, but we know plenty of people who are, and they can help you out with doing this. And then we touched on pricing. How do you price your products? Are there opportunities for premium pricing? So are you doing something which nobody else is actually doing? So therefore you can charge more for it. Is there an opportunity to bundle your services up? Or is there an opportunity to do the opposite way and unbundle your services, charge more overall for them? We can have a look at all these possibilities. How do you target your new customers? Do you use social media at all? It can be fairly cheap and it can be fairly expensive depending on which route you actually go down. But it's all about maybe creating your own brand out there. At Harts, we try to create the brand of who we are, and it's an overall strategy of doing LinkedIn, webinars like this, podcasts, various other videos and so on, sponsoring events, etc., etc. So we know people know the Harts brand around the area. And are you getting the right information out of your management information system? Are you getting all the information that you want? For instance, if you're a manufacturing process, do you know how quickly you can manufacture the product? Do you know how is that broken down per product? Do you know how many sales per product are you actually doing? Do you know which is the most profitable product that you're selling? All this information you will need to get out of your management information system. It might be that you're not getting it at the moment. And what information would you like to get that you're not currently getting? And have a think about how we can amend our strategy of running the business so we actually get this information out of it. How often do you hold board or management meetings? Or are they very informal? It might be that you're on your own or there's just two of you. How often do you have a chat? How often do you write down the notes which you've said? How often do you put into place some of the changes which you want to make? Or do you just talk about them and nothing ever happens? It's all about being accountable. So after we're creating all our strategy, then we're looking at potential implementation projects. It could be, let's prepare cash flow forecast, profit projections, let's do management accounts, let's hire more staff, etc., etc. We'll have action plans which are written down and we decide who does what, how and when. So we're setting a target date by saying, right, we're going to implement this project. I'm going to do it by this date. And then you're accountable to that. Not only accountable to yourself, but if we're involved in developing your strategy, we'll keep in touch with you to say, yes, have you done this? And if not, why not? How are you going to go about it? Do you still want to do it? And so on. And that's sharing it with an advisor or a colleague. You're going to review your performance against the plan, whether that be monthly, quarterly, 6 monthly, annually, whatever. And then you amend it as the market changes and update it as you're going along. So common implementation projects which we've come across, talked about this, preparing management accounts. If you want to download an ebook, it's a free ebook from our website at harts-ltd.com on preparing management accounts. People think they're a modern thing, they're not. They've been around for donkey's years, but we can download a free ebook, just pop in your email address and you'll be able to download that and we can explain what management accounts are all about, the benefits of doing them. You might want to prepare some cash flow forecasts. So if you're looking to invest in the future, you might need to have new products, new services. How are we going to fund it? Let's have a look at some cash flows and profit forecasts as well. Is it worth doing for those new products and services? It might be that you're going to prepare a marketing plan. Are you going to hire the right staff? Have you got the right staff in the right position? Do you want to get rid of the wrong staff? It may well be you've got people who you're thinking, oh, I don't want that person in this business anymore. It can be that they're always the ones that are dragging everyone else down. I'm sure you can all think of one in your business. And it may well be to say, well, if he's dragging me down, he's probably dragging other people down as well. So it could be that. You want to delegate more. It might be that you want to get rid of some of your clients, and is it one of those clients where every time the phone rings, you think, no, I don't want to speak to them. You're telling them that's it. I'm not interested. You're trying to put them off. Just get rid of them. If no one wants to talk to them and they're real pain, then just get rid. It could be that you're just going to increase your prices as well. It's a simple way of making more profit. So What can you do next? Well, you can book a planning session with us. It will take half a day. There's a free ebook from our website. If you've not already downloaded that, then please feel free to do so. Again, go to harts-ltd.com and you can download the ebook by just slotting in your email. All comes down to you for free, and this all explains what strategic planning is all about. Quite happily to have a chat to you, and we can talk about the costs and so on. So that's it, really. That's how to start to create your own business strategy. I hope that's given you a kind of a general insight into what we do here and how we work with businesses and what creating a strategy is all about and sort of questions we ask. And we act basically as a facilitator for you so you can actually develop your own strategy. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself, shout out, stick your camera on, and we'll happily have a chat. Or you can put something in the chat box. Please feel free to stick something in the chat box as well. That'll be very much appreciated. If you want to go back and have a look at any of the slides, they'll be on YouTube later on today. It's our Harts Limited YouTube channel. Please feel free to go there, and you'll be able to look at anything else that you might have missed over the last few years. How far forward should a company be projecting? We tend to work on 5 years because it's giving you an overall long-term view as to where you want your business to be. If we're doing cash flow forecasts and projections, normally it'll be for 1 year, maybe 2 years, because that's as far as we can probably go ahead with any real certainty at any one time. But for a business as a strategy, we might say, right, well, say for instance, you're grooming your business for sale in 5 years' time. You want to make as much profit as you can, maximize your income, minimize your expenditure to get the maximum value out of your business, because you can only sell your business once. So it might be a 5-year plan to actually get there. It might be 5 years to say, well, I'm trying to achieve this at my stage of life. That's what I want to try and achieve as a strategy. So 5 years tends to be the overall strategy because it gives you plenty of time to try and achieve it. If you might have a bad year, you might have a good year, and so on. So I hope that answers your question, Andrew. Anybody else got any questions they want to put in the chat box, or unmute yourself and shout out before we finish today? Don't think I've got anything else coming through so far. So thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning. I hope you've enjoyed the session. Catch up with us on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, and we look forward to seeing you in September, where we have a great range of topics for you coming up over the second half of the year. So thank you very much, and goodbye.